So on yesterday's broad podcast, we talked about how does this end? I mean, let's just play this out. How does this end? The next 12 months are going to decide America's future. And think of the pressures that are upon us. You've got war. If we have time, I'll get into what's happening in Ukraine and what the president did yesterday. And, we played yesterday the audio of Lindsey Graham and John McCain in 2016 saying, right after the election, this is going to be the year 2017, we're coming and we're going to teach Russia and Putin a lesson. And that didn't happen. I think Trump thwarted that. So what happens? His second term is lost, and we go where? Right into Ukraine. So we have that. We have the economy. We have the trouble on our streets. We have all these pressures on us. And now let's throw this log on the fire. We have Donald Trump and Joe Biden running. In normal scenarios, that wouldn't necessarily be so bad. But we're not in a normal scenario. You have Donald Trump running, who the left is trying to knock out. They're trying to take your choice away. They're trying to make sure that he can't run, and they're using every trick in the book. How does that work out, do you think? If Donald Trump goes to jail, do you think there's maybe 20%? Hell with that. 10% of our nation that will not stand for that? I think that's a pretty easy bet. What do? I don't know. What does the FBI help them do? I don't know. So if he goes to jail, bad news. If he doesn't go to jail and Biden runs, let me ask you, Biden runs and he wins. Is anybody on the left or anybody on the right going to believe it? I'm not. I just have a really hard time. If there's anything funny going on, I'll have a really hard time. If he loses, what's that outcome? We'd be happy. Do you think the left is just going to sit around and not set the country on fire? Do you think they're not going to do what Hillary Clinton said to do with Joe Biden last time? Never concede, never concede, never concede. It was a stolen election. So you got the same scenario. So what is the plan? That I can't come up with another way out on those two things. Trump wins, Biden wins. Trump goes to jail. Trump doesn't go to jail. Biden loses. I can't think of other scenarios. And I'm pretty good at this. Okay, let me give you one more. How does this one end? Biden runs. We're getting up to the election. They decide there's not going to be a debate. And we all know it's because Biden, in a year from now, is going to degrade even more cognitively. And so he's looking worse and worse when he does speak. And so they keep him out and there's no debates. That's not going to work out well. And if that's happening, people will know, both in and out of the Democratic Party, oh my dear Lord, it's Kamala is going to be the president. If she's the president, at any time, the world's on fire. But I don't think anybody wants her to be the president on the left. So what happens? Kamala Harris replaces as the top of the ticket. Trump wins. Unbelievable. Streets on fire, right? But if Biden and the Democrats know that he's not going to make it, what they should do is replace Kamala Harris. But they can't, because she was a token. Remember, I'm going to find a black woman. Oh, okay, well, let's not go get the best person. Let's just go get the person of color. If you want to know how that ends, just see what's happening at Harvard right now. The left will set the streets on fire. So there's no way out there. Now let me share something with you that only the Democratic Party can do. The Democratic Party, after the election of Ronald Reagan, they did not want that to happen to them. Some outsider cannot just come in. What do the people know? So we need to have veto power, and they're called superdelegates. These superdelegates at this point have all been chosen by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. They're in the bag for all the elites. And it is within their purview to vote against what the public has voted for. So you're a Democrat, you out to the polls, you vote for Joe Biden, and they get together and they say, Joe Biden is a disaster. Nobody really wants him, but nobody stepped up to take it from him. We can't make this happen. We can't let this happen. It'll be disaster. And so they have the power then to override the vote of the primary. And they can nominate Michelle Obama. People ask all the time, who's really running the country? My guess is the traffic between Georgetown and the White House, pretty high. My guess is it's the Obama administration that is actually running this place. And they're letting him do all of the tough things. All of the tough things. Let him do it. He serves one term. Who could possibly be elected on such a short period of time? Who has the name recognition? Who has the trust? Who can remind people how great it was that, remember when Barack was in office? We just got started and then we had to leave and then Donald Trump, and we're going to finish this. It's the first female black president, Michelle Obama. The only one that is going to have a problem with this in the Democratic Party will be Michelle Obama. She doesn't like the country. She hated the White House. But boy, wouldn't that be something? As a fiction writer, the only scenario that works for me, that I can see playing out in anything other than a disaster, but as always, the Democrats always have a win-win scenario. It's always bad for America, but it's win-win for them. He runs, he loses, the country's set on fire, the president still has executive power, he takes control. It was an unfair and rigged election, and January 6th and whatever, the streets are on fire for at least 3 months if there's inauguration. I'm not saying there wouldn't be, but streets are on fire for 3 months. Dramatically impacts America. Okay, that's a win if you're trying to destroy the country. And then if you realize that the globalists are really the ones who are buying, $15 million homes on islands, who couldn't pay their student loans when they got into the presidency, if you realize those globalists are really the ones behind the scenes pulling the strings anyway, all you would need is just to soften people up onto what could be coming.